Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glen Sutherland.
Welcome to a new episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. with Glen Sutherland. This week, my guest is Brett Henry. I don't know why I want to keep calling you Brent. I have one of my best buddies is Brett, and I don't know why. Anyway, Brett, let's give us a bit of an intro to yourself.
Sure. You know what? And don't worry about the Brent thing. I get that since I was.
It's horrible, though. I hate when people spell my name with two N's, so I get it, and I don't know why I keep doing it.
It's no problem, Glenn. No, my name's Brett. I'm a real estate broker down in the Dominican Republic, specifically in the area of Puerto Plata and Sosua. And I'm originally from Saskatchewan, so I understand cold. So I understand, most of the listeners, what you guys are going through up there. I moved down here full time about 6 years ago. But I bought a business down here approximately 20 years ago now. So I've been coming back and forth for quite a long time. And there's a million reasons why I did it. And hopefully we talk about some of that and let you guys know why I did what I did.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. Let's start off with like the story about that, how that went, and then it'll trigger a bunch of questions.
Sure. So back the whole life up, I was originally a police officer in Canada. I started in Edmonton and then moved to Prince Albert. I policed for just about 20 years. I took my pension out and moved down to the Dominican. The reason I ended up coming down here is a friend of mine from the police left the police quite early, and he got married down here. And he called me up one day and he's like, "Hey, Brett, do you want to go in on a bar in the Dominican?" And I looked at it I'm like, no, not really. He's like, "Well, I kind of bought it and you need a little bit of help with it. And I need a little bit of, a little help there." So I said, "Okay, sure." So anyway, that's what got me into it. So the whole dream was, buy a bar in the Dominican, work my years as policing, leave policing, and then, pop beers on the beach for the rest of my life because it's beautiful and warm and nice down here.
Yeah.
Got down here like full time, right? Like it was fun when I came down, but I was only coming for a week, 2 weeks here, there, and having a great time at the bar because I had zero responsibility, right? Yeah. But by the time I came down and had to actually be a responsible human being, if I was going to make a go at running a bar, I just didn't have it in me anymore. But I had, throughout my years of policing, I had gotten involved in construction and building houses in Canada and running other businesses up in Canada while I was policing. And I was always buying and selling properties and stuff. So another friend of mine down here introduced me to the world of real estate down here. And I thought, wow, this is great. So I started doing it and found a few pitfalls that I wasn't really, that I thought maybe I could smooth out. So I met my business partner, who's actually from Ontario as well. He was in the he had multiple businesses as well from Canada, furniture world and things like that. Like that's where his background was. And we looked at it and we said, well, maybe we can do this a little bit different or a little more catered to the American and Canadian buyer. It was our thought. So that's what we did. We opened our company called realtordr.com. What our main concerns was, it was more, quality marketing, things like that. Down here, it doesn't work the same as back home with the MLS system. There is no MLS down here. So you can have one property and it can be being marketed by like 5 or 6 different agencies. So when a buyer comes and looks at a property, they might see it on, our website, maybe Coldwell Banker, maybe an independent, another independent. The prices could be different. It could be old listings and all this stuff. So it's kind of hard in the beginning to navigate the whole real estate scene. That's why real estate agents and real estate brokerages down here are very important for the first time buyers, because you really need someone who has boots on the ground, who knows the market and can kind of tell you about it. So that's what we did. We built an agency. We're the largest brokerage now on the north coast of the Dominican Republic. and I'll speak about the Dominican in a minute about everything, but we have people specifically in our office just to deal with listings, just to call the listings and make sure that they're up to date and they haven't been sold. And because there's no talking right between systems because of not having the MLS. But that being put aside, we were able to go through that. So everything on our website, everything that we do is all current and up to date, and anything you look at is current and up to date. And that's what we kind of wanted. There are a lot of good brokerages down here as well. It's not just us that are really good, but we work with a group of, there's probably about 60 or 70 really good agents in the area. Then there is what we call the beach agent. Okay. So this is the cab driver, the guy you meet on the beach, the guy who, doesn't have a website, doesn't have an office. But he's like, I got a house for sale and I'll sell it to you. And I know, and that's where a lot of people run into trouble. But if you use a good broker and a good agency, you're not going to have issues down here. It's a lot easier once you do that, because it's down here. We have a lot of the same, you get a title, you get a survey of the land. It's all electronically recorded. The surveys are done with GPS. They're not done with a pin in the ground, which is kind of archaic, but that's how we do it back in Canada. It kind of seems stupid, but they kind of jumped the level ahead already with that here. The one beautiful thing about the DR compared to a lot of the other Caribbean countries is that foreign investment is very appreciated here, and it's taken seriously. You have the same rights as a natural born Dominican when it comes to banking and owning property. So you own the title. You don't have a 99-year lease. You don't have to go through someone to buy it. You don't there's a few.
I've heard that from some of the other ones. I had some other people talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few other countries that are like that, but they like that. And the thing is the Dominican Republic. I'll give you the lowdown on the DR, why I like it. So the Dominican Republic is, out of the 26 countries in the Caribbean that make up the Caribbean here, it's the second largest, next to Cuba. So the island itself is called Hispaniola, and it's split into two different countries. We have Haiti, which is, Haiti's got its issues, okay?
Yeah.
And then we have the Dominican Republic. So the Dominican Republic is always voted year over year over year being the best economy, best, everything. It's the best of any factor that you put in, it's the best. Haiti, on the other hand, usually comes lower to the bottom, just because of the way it is. And so some of the things that people think about, they're like, well, is it dangerous because Haiti's there? The Dominican Republic is absolutely safe. So why Haiti and the Dominican are separated, there is a geographical mountain range between the two of us. So in the Dominican, we have 3 mountain ranges. We got one that kind of goes through Haiti, and then we got 2 that go through the center of the island. We have the largest, and this is I'm going to start talking about the diversity of the Dominican, but the Dominican has one of the highest peaks next to the Rocky Mountains, which is Pico Duarte. It's over 10,000 feet. Right. So it's way up there. Yeah. It actually snows up there. It doesn't usually stay, but it does snow up there. There's whitewater rafting up there. But the big thing with it is on the north coast of the Dominican, where I live, we haven't really had a hurricane for over 200 years because of these large peaks and these large mountains. They break everything up.
Because that's where my head was even thinking, like all the big storms when you're down there. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I just wanted to let you know that I've created a new coaching program. I believe the new coaching program has way more value than any of the programs that have even existed in the past. What we've done is pre-recorded all the lessons so that you can work through it at your own pace, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to meet up on a regular basis to answer the questions, do deal analysis, and actually spend our time together working on things instead of spending our time learning things. I think this will make a seamless transition to buying in the United States and will help you solve a lot of your problems. If this is of interest to you, go to glensutherland.com/coaching. I hope to help you guys invest in the United States, and I hope we provide as much value as possible. Back to the podcast.
The storms can hit the south side of the island, like the Punta Canas and everything like that. But on the North Shore, we usually don't see it, right? Or we don't get the brunt of it. That's for sure. The other thing too is people don't realize how big this country is. Like, we're bigger than Belgium. Like the landmass is bigger than Belgium. So people think, oh, Belgium, right? Like that's where the UN is. Like that's got to be a big place. No, we're bigger. There's 10 million people that live here. The majority of people, probably 80%, 90%, live on the south coast, which is your Punta Cana, Santo Domingo, Santiago area.
Is that
On the
because
north
tourist
coast.
jobs and stuff like that?
Well, see, there's the bias right there that everyone has. It's all based on tourism. It's not. This island is has one of the best producing gold mines in the world, which is actually owned by a Canadian company, which is Barrick Gold.
Really?
Oh, they do a ton of gold out of here. I think they're burned. Don't quote me on the numbers, but it was around $2 billion worth of gold 2 years ago. But their burn rate is so low, right? So it makes it one of the most successful gold mines there is.
Wow.
Then you got to start thinking about we have what's called free zones, zona francas down here, where they do manufacturing. Some of the major companies that you have around the world are actually, it's all designed and built here, right? There's everything from food products to clothing to obviously tobacco. Everyone thinks their tobacco is coming from Cuba, but a good portion of it is actually coming from here. We're the largest producers of plantains. All your fruits can come from here, right? Like all your tropical fruits, and we have the land to do it. Then you start talking about sugar and
growing season,
coffee, and we got a town called Mocha. You ever have a mocha?
Yeah, for coffee or mocha. Yeah.
You ever wonder where that came from?
I'm guessing there.
Guess what? Yeah. And the reason is that you have up in the hills, you have the coffee, right? You have the coffee plants, and then you also have the cacao, and it's all right there. So we have a lot of biodiversity on the island. The other thing that I liked about it is, like I told you, I have a background in policing. This is one of the safest places that I've ever lived in my life. When you come here and you come off the boat or come off the plane and we're driving around, you're not really getting a good grasp of what the real Dominican culture is like. They're a very friendly, giving culture. They're very, very nice. And you might look at things and be like, oh my God, it looks so like, oh, maybe it looks run down. You got to remember, like the sun, salt, and the sand kills everything. So anything metal is going to be orange in like an afternoon.
Yeah.
It's not that this stuff is all bad. It's just that this is the way, this is just what we got to contend with. And then you're like, oh, well, this looks like it hasn't been, lived in for 3 days or 3 years because the grass is so long. Well, the grass never stops growing here. And that's a good thing, right? So, I mean, I can't say anything really bad about this country other than it's like a little you got to slow down your pace as a Canadian or an American moving here. You got to like really slow down. One example I had was our business, one of our businesses down here, we needed it painted, and the painter was supposed to come, and I looked outside and it had rained for like maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So I waited, and he was supposed to be there at 9. It's 10, nothing, 11. I call him. I said, where are you? And the guy goes, he's like, well, boss, I looked outside. It looked like it was going to rain. So, I'll be there tomorrow. There's just the sense of urgency isn't as high. I'm not going to say that in all industries. I mean, there's a lot of extremely professional, Dominican people and Dominican businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of where we are on the North Coast, it's a little island-like, right? Yeah.
So, like the North Coast, what is that like? Because it's not as much as the touristy section, right? Is it like a whole bunch of expats, or what does it kind of look and feel like?
So the North Coast, especially in the Sosua Cabarete area, which I'll speak about, so between Puerto Plata and a town called like Rio San Juan, I guess, in this whole area, there's a lot of expats in comparison. Like the concentration of expats is quite high here. You can get around with English quite easily. Like it's not that hard. The grocery stores, like some of the grocery stores here have a lot of like Canadian and American SKUs, so you can get through that. But the reason why a lot of people like to live here is we kind of have the best of all worlds. When you go to Sosua, and I don't know if everyone's heard about this. Anyway, if you haven't heard about Sosua, read up on it. It's not as bad as it sounds on the radio or on
Okay.
but it's an adult play. Like it's like an adult playground. It's like Thailand of the island. Okay. So
Oh,
a lot of like nightlife that happens there and things like that. But the beaches are beautiful. It's very safe. It's good. But within a 10-kilometer span, you leave Sosua, which is big time adult nightlife, and then you start getting into the Cabarete area, which is like a sportsman's paradise. It's some of the best kiteboarding in the world.
oh.
We have, some very, very high-end people that come down here just to do the kiteboarding. Then we also have Encuentro, which is one of the best surf beaches in the Caribbean. They just did they do WSL events down here, so World Surf League events. And that's kind of why people want to be here. So you got the yoga, the surfing, the kiteboarding, the relaxing. Cabarete Beach has a bunch of amazing bars right on the beach, and you don't see this. You don't see this anywhere else in the world. Sorry about that. Just here, give me one sec. Sorry about that. I don't know why that kicked in. No, we have some of the most amazing bars and stuff that are on the beach. So you can just walk the beach at night and go into these little beautiful restaurants. We coined a term down here called beach bums and billionaires. This is one important thing. Okay. So when I have quite a few very, very high-end clientele that I deal with, and they could be anywhere in the world, and they come down here because there isn't the, oh my God, that's so-and-so, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Like we've had people like Mark Wahlberg, Jennifer Lopez, Richard Branson, billionaires and stuff. And so the beach bums and billionaires comes in is because when we sit at the bar with people, you don't know who you're sitting next to. Is that guy a millionaire? Is he a CEO of a big company? Or is he some guy who's down here for 2 weeks just catching some waves? And no one cares. We had a friend down here. He was quite well-to-do. He had himself a Rolls-Royce SUV, and everyone made fun of him. Everyone made fun of him from day in to day out because he was like, he just wasn't fitting the mold, right?
Yeah.
Like why would you drive that? Why would you do that? Why would you have that down here? You're foolish. And then we had another guy who's very, very well-to-do. And back home, he drives the nicest vehicles you can imagine. Down here, he drives a 2010 Kia Sportage. And I asked him, I said, well, why don't you drive something nicer down here? He's like, you know what? I really like it. And I don't get to drive this back home, So that's what I like to drive.
Yeah.
So you can just be who you want to be down here.
I love that.
Not a lot of judgment.
I'm gonna bring this back to the real estate part a little bit. I wrote down a whole pile of questions, so I'm interested to see how this all works for people who actually wanted to go there and live or go there and invest. So one thing I've like when I talk to different people from different countries and places down there, sometimes like some of the countries you can get mortgages, some countries you can't get mortgages as a Canadian or as an American. You said that it was really banking friendly when we were talking off the start. Can we get mortgages? I have more free content. So if you're interested, I created a PDF guide and a video to go along with the PDF guide to complement it. And what the guide is all about is the 5 most common mistakes that Canadians make when investing in the United States. So if you're interested in this free guide, go to CanadianInvestingInTheUSA.com/mistakes. And let's go back to the podcast. And it's free.
All right. So, you know what? The mortgage thing down here, it is banking friendly. Okay. It is banking friendly. It's investment friendly. If you put money down here, you get actual returns on your dollars. The mortgages down here are a lot more difficult than they would be back home. Okay. At a minimum, you need 30% down. Most stuff down here, this is why the economy is good down here. We have a very, very solid economy because we don't have the big boom bust systems that we have like in Canada and the States. You can't just go borrow $1 million with $50,000 down. You
can't do that in the U.S. even as a Canadian. So I don't think that's going to scare anyone away.
All right. So most of the time, everything's done in cash. We do a lot of deals with owner financing down here. Most of the time, you want to have at least 50% down. Everything is done in US dollars down here when it comes to real estate transactions. So you got to think, this is going to be anytime you go on a website, that's US dollars. It's not Canadian dollars. If you go to the bank and you want to borrow money at the bank, they borrow it against the property. And it's usually 30% down is like the minimum that you need down. The interest rates are around 8.75 right now currently, which isn't crazy, but it's not great.
Not good in the
But
US either.
yeah, so that's the big thing is you just got to have a good down payment, and there's a lot of reason for that. Banks aren't going to, they're not going to give you money and then you take off and you just forfeit on it, and they're, you know what I mean? Like they always protect themselves. But that being said, there's lots of options with owner financing down here, building financing, things like that. My recommendation is if you do need to borrow money, do a home equity back in Canada and then bring it down here, or or upright come here. Like this
Sell your
scenario.
house and get them. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: if you're between the ages of, or you bought your first home between the ages of like 20 and 40, and now you're between the ages of 40 to whatever, 60, 70, 80, and you lived in any major city in Canada or the United States, the amount of value in your home has gone through the roof exponentially, just due to, growth plus inflation. But the thing is if you're a blue collar worker like I was, or, you're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a cop, you're a firefighter, you're a civil worker, and you're living in a home that might be worth 1 million, 2 million, $3 million now, you're not a millionaire. As much as you'd like to think you're a millionaire in your head, you're definitely not. Because in order for you to get into the house next door, it's going to cost you $200,000, $300,000 to upgrade. That's another mortgage.
Yeah.
When you get to the age of 40, 50, 60, getting another mortgage in Canada and having to pay that on your pension isn't going to work, right? It's not smart.
Right.
So I did a talk a while ago in Florida with a bunch of realtors and stuff, and what I said to them was, it was just this: if you want to become a millionaire and you have $1 million property, sell your property, get your $1 million, $2 million out, 3 million maybe, bring it down to a country like the Dominican Republic, buy yourself something beautiful on the beach, a condo, a house, maybe spend, $300,000 to $800,000, get yourself something that you really, really want. You own it now. You own it in cash. Take your residual. Maybe that's, 100,000, maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's $1.5 million, maybe it's $2 million. You can go to the banks right now and get CDs and bonds that have never been defaulted on ever. You can get a 1-year term right now at 10.75 after tax, paid monthly.
Yeah,
paid monthly. You can get a 3-year term right now at 11.75. Like, so now what are you doing? So you put your $1 million in the bank. Now you're getting $10,000 US a month. Right.
Yeah.
Now your pension, you're getting maybe you're getting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month in your pension. Well, guess what? Now you're making $20,000 a month, $15,000 to $20,000 a month. You're living in a house that you have no bills with. Go visit back home. Go, because the lake country in Canada is amazing. Summertime in Canada is extremely beautiful. But guess what? Go up there and, spend $10,000, $15,000 on an Airbnb. You're living here, you're saving money. When you live here, it's summer year round. My golf membership at a PGA rated golf course is $500 a year. Okay.
Wow.
When I go there to play a round of golf, it costs me about $45. My green fee is $15 after having a membership. And then I can get 6 beer and 4 water for $20 and a cart and a caddy. I mean, like you can be saving money living here. And everyone who's like, well, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it. You're living in a place that people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to go for a week. You can go to the beach every day. You can go walk on the beach. You can go have, anything that you want to do. You're living that life. And while you're living here, make this the home base to travel from. Live here, go to Europe, come here, go back home. And everyone's like, well, I'm going to miss my family and all this stuff. You will. You absolutely will for a little bit. But guess where they want to come visit you? They don't want to go 4 hours away in Canada to come visit you for 2.5 days. And then the rest of the year, you don't see them. They can come here for a couple of weeks. You can go back there for a couple of weeks, but become a millionaire, make yourself a real millionaire. Don't sit in a house that's worth a few $1 million thinking that one day, it's miraculously going to turn into money for you, because it's not. It's just going to hold value. So unless you unleash that value, you're never going to be able to utilize it for your lifestyle. So what's more important? that value in something that is, sitting there, or, the life you really want to live. And that's the big decision that people have to make. And I mean, that's between, what people want, right? So the options are here.
So say you went and bought one of these places. I know you were saying it's better to live there. Say you bought it as like an investment property. Is there Airbnb regulations? Is there licensing for that? Is it difficult to do? And like, does Airbnb.com like, or .ca or whatever one, I guess, actually like have like a presence there, or, VRBO or whatever one they use down there?
Absolutely. So unless, like, a lot of people that come down here for the first time, like a lot of first time travelers are, the all-inclusive people, the cruise people, the all-inclusive people. I really, 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 really tell people, buying a property down here, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Come down here, come rent a little bit, come stay, come feel it all out. So that being said, the Airbnb rental down here it's everywhere. You can rent. There isn't regulations like back home. Think of this place like 1972. Okay. We have rules, we have regulations, we have all that stuff, we have good laws, but no one's in your face about it. Okay. No one's, if you want to walk down the road with a beer in your hand, you can do it. If you want to do this, you can do it. So when it comes to Airbnbs, is there regulations? No, there's no regulations on Airbnbs. If you want to rent a place, it's free market down here. You know what I mean? It's a real free market. You want to open up a bar? Congratulations, you're a bar owner. You know what I mean? You want to start a business? Great. Go get a license and start a business. So Airbnbs and doing rentals and stuff, a lot of people do very, very well with it. I find with Airbnbs and rentals, it's what you put into it, you get out of it, right? Throwing it out onto an Airbnb and being like, oh, I'm going to make, $5,000 a month. Maybe not. Throwing it onto the Airbnb and doing a little bit of marketing behind it and actually, taking good care of your property and being a good host, yeah, you'll make a lot of money. You'll make a lot of money.
Makes a lot of sense. At the start, you were talking about how properties are listed, or not really how they're listed, but how you like kind of find them, how your brokerage kind of pulls them all together and checks up on them. I'm just trying to figure out how you even do that. Like, do people, like a typical person selling it, do they just put a sign at the end of their driveway that says like, for sale, or they just list it with one brokerage and then everybody kind of just grabs that listing as well? Or like, I'm just trying to picture how that actually works for, like, say you bought one of these properties and then you decided to sell it. Like, how does that look?
What's the process look like? Well, it's a lot like back home. There's trusted real estate agents down here. And then there's like beach agents, but it's like I said before, it's a free market down here. Like, it's really open. So if you want to sell your own home, you want to put a for sale sign at the end of the road, it's no problem. Go ahead.
Because you could do that, and then some people would pick up, like some of the brokerages may pick up the listing, and then just, if you put it up on, I don't know what you guys use on the Facebook Marketplace or, whatever. And then other people, they might just like skim off of it anyway. And then so with the commission, they just add a commission when they sell it, and the seller pays that. But if the seller didn't hire you, how does that work?
Well, then that's just you making a contract with the seller. It would be like, say you just wanted to sell your house and there wasn't a broker involved, but I'm the real estate agent. If I'm the real estate agent and I come to you and I say, hey, I got Glenn, I got a buyer for your place, and you say, okay, great. I say, well, okay, this is what my commission costs are. We work out a deal, and that's that. Okay. We write a contract. And
you would just contact the home buyer before you went and did a tour and see what they were doing. Yeah. Okay.
Things down here are done in the KISS method. You know the KISS method?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Simple, stupid. Right?
Yeah. I love it. When people are buying this, if they're buying like a business, or maybe I think I can answer this myself, but if they're buying like this as a Airbnb business, or even just I don't know if people are interested in doing long-term rentals there, but do they usually set up corporations to do this, or do they typically just put it in their own name?
It depends on how big you're going to get, right? Like if you're just having one or two houses, a corp might not be the best, the best option for you. If you're getting into, multiple, businesses, and there are multiple, sites and stuff, it probably is good. It's easy to get. So just like an LLC down here, it's called an RNC. You can go to your lawyer they can set it up for you, and then you can just start putting your properties into that. It really depends on your individual needs, but yeah, corporations are easy to set up down here. Lawyers, getting a good lawyer down here is absolutely important. So the thing with real estate down here is that we're a little bit different than back home, because we're your first point of contact a lot of times when people start to move here. So we're not just your real estate agent, we're your guide. Where do I go eat? How do I get my grass cut? How do I get a maid? Where's the best lawyer? My car broke down. How do I get it fixed? So we do a lot more than just real estate as real estate agents down here. And as we get going, that's then we try and guide people in the right directions, because it's a big lifestyle change, and you need that connection down here. So like back home, or I found back home, when you do a real estate transaction, it's kind of, yeah, they'll do the paperwork and you say hi, and maybe they buy you a set of knives for buying a house or something like that, and then you don't see them again, right? Because it's a real factory operation. Down here, it's more, a lot of the clients that I deal with, they become friends, right? They become basically kind of branches of family to us down here, because there's a lot that we're doing for them. It's getting you set up, because it's a totally different country. Where do I buy furniture from? How do we get to the big city?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people don't know. And that's why we set up our business too. Like you can come into our office. We speak, I believe, 9 or 10 languages in my office right now. So we can cover all of that. You come in and you talk to any one of my staff, especially my managerial staff, like my clerical staff and my administrative staff, and they'll help you. Like, we have every question from this, that, to the other thing. It's, where do I go get my eyes checked? They'll take you. Like, my staff will be like, hey, it's right here. Do you want me to come with you and set it up? Because maybe the receptionist only speaks Spanish and you speak English, or maybe you speak German or whatever. We'll go there. We'll set that up for you. Like, it's a little more, there's a little more touch.
Yeah, a little more boutique, and I love
that. A
that.
little more boutique, yeah.
So you just mentioned your company, the staff. People are like, hey, Brett, you sold me on the Dominican, or even I just want to like come down and visit and maybe get a tour around. How do they get a hold of you? Where do they find you?
So we have a great website. It's realtordr.com. So they can go to the website. On there, there's a lot. Like, it's not just a real estate website. There's a lot of resources on there that help you find out about taxation, find out about moving here, find about becoming a resident. Lots of blogs and stuff. We're also on Instagram at realtordr.com. So like, couldn't get the dot right. That was
no, you can't.
Someone stole the dot, but yeah, .com. We have lots of content on there. Also on YouTube, we have lots of YouTube and things like that. We do webinars. A lot of our webinars are on there if they want. And then just get in contact with me. And I'm, my email is brett@realtordr.com. And my phone number, we use WhatsApp down here. Everyone uses WhatsApp. It's kind of what we do. And it's +1 849-353-4899. And you can get a hold of me anytime for any question.
I love WhatsApp. No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Brett, I'm excited. I'm gonna come visit anyway. I don't know if I'm gonna come and live there, but I still am stuck with. I'm not leaving Canada, but I
super encourage you, Glenn, to come down. And don't stay at the all-inclusive. Come down, rent a place, and enjoy it. Like, I want to leave with like one other thing there. Like, a lot of families, people think that you got to come down here and you got to be like older. You can't have a family. Great schools down here. Okay, really good schools for kids, Montessori style and traditional schools, private schools. The other thing too is I see a lot of families, and this is going to be a kick out to the Alberta people right now and stuff like that. But we find that there's a lot of like families that do shift work, like the miners and things like that, where they're 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out. A lot of the wives that are stay-at-home wives in Canada are moving down here and living here, and the reason being is that the average wage is about $20 a day. So a lot of people are having nannies and maids and gardeners I mean, for less than what we pay for HOA fees up in Canada or taxes in Canada. So you know, it really opens up the lifestyle, right? Down here. You can just get a lot more for less.
Yeah, I don't know where I had neighbors about 5 doors down, and they picked up and put their whole lives into barrels, and I had their whole driveway and garage all full of it, and they moved down to the Dominican Republic. I don't know where, so I should have kept in contact with them, but they're down there somewhere. He's a
This is how
mechanic, and he's like, "Oh, we're moving there." I got like, after selling the house, and buying a place down there, they had $500,000 left, and they're like, "We'll figure it out. We'll find a job. We'll figure out how to do this, and we're just gonna take the leap." And they did, and I haven't seen them since.
Here, I'll do the American Canadian thing because down here it's small. What was it? What was their names?
I don't put me on the spot. I haven't seen this was like 3 years ago. Can't remember their last names, but I can look it up. I can look it up.
Yeah, you just text it to me because maybe I know them. If they're in this area, I'll know them in this area.
Okay, yeah,
for sure. Because
I know they were going into some gated community. And I knew somebody else from Ontario that was down there, and so they were going there. Anyway,
yeah,
I'll talk to my wife. Get the last name. I'll talk to my wife and get their last names.
Yeah. Go to the source. Go to the information center and get it.
Brett, this was awesome. We'll have to get you back again, or I'll have to come down and visit you, maybe do one live. But thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate talking to you, Glenn. Yeah, you call me anytime, and I wouldn't mind coming back on. And if there's any interest, anyone's free to contact me, and it'd be great to see you come down here and do a live down here.
That'd be great.
That was a nice video. Bye.